rock fight in the Rockies in Oklahoma City.
Hey, man, that's low-key disrespectful to rock fights.
It might be.
Because rock fight, at least we hit somebody.
Yeah. That's true. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 25 points were enough to help carry the Thunder on a day that nobody could hit anything from the field. And they have tied up the series at 2 games apiece. Welcome in. It's Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T. Brendan Haywood, 3D. Dennis Scott, I'm Matt Weiner. Good to have you with us. This game was all kinds of ugly, especially in the first half. 17-8 after the first quarter. That ties an NBA postseason record for the lowest scoring quarter ever. OKC let Denver stick around, and it was competitive. Denver looked like they might take over in the third, but the shooting percentages were so low. The offense was so inefficient on both sides. How did OKC finish this off?
They basically got lucky that the Nuggets were a little tired, dead legs. Just played, 36 hours ago? So both teams, when you watch that first quarter, I'm sitting at home before I'm coming in, I'm like, are we having a flashback to the 80s where guys just can't make wide open shots? I mean, just simple stuff. But then you taking the fact that they hadn't played in 36 hours, and that game was a brutal game, game 3, and now you're coming back. Now, after halftime, to your question, Matt, things started to settle in. Nuggets started getting a few layups and one. The game started flowing differently. And then OKC's defense, what they've been playing all season long, finally stepped in to close out the ball game.
That's the key for me. It's OKC's defense, and that's why you want to be a well-balanced team. It's great to be a team that can score 120, 130, but this time of year, you need that defense. When the game slows down, the officials aren't blowing the whistle as frequently, you need your defense to step up and be able to win you ball games. That's what LKC was able to do tonight. If you just look at what they were able to do against Jokic over the last 3 games, even in the games they've lost, just go over the last 3 games, Jokic of 21 of 63, the last 3 games, 4 of 22 from the three-point line. Look at this defense. Right there, Hartenstein, good defense. You see Chet coming over to help. Hartenstein gets the block. They are all swarming, active hands, fighting, not letting Jokic get his spot. Jalen Williams, the other J-Dub with the great defense right there. Once again, look where Jokic is catching it. Casey Wallace making it look crowded. Then SGA, he's coming over to help from the elbow. And we got Chet coming from the baseline. Jokic has to pass the ball. It ends up going out of bounds on OKC, but you see the theme here. It's active defense. It's hustle. It's fighting for every spot. Nothing is easy for the big fella. The big fella's used to cooking this time of year, 3D. Look at this defense. On the weak side, everybody from OKC is swarming. OKC has been a top-tier defense all year long. Number one. That's top tier.
Yeah. Doesn't get any more top than that.
And their defense was the main reason they were able to win this game. When you look out there, they frustrated Jokic. He couldn't get his number. He couldn't get his shots off. This is the the third game in a row where Jokic has really struggled. And when you look at the numbers from the field, what Denver was shooting, 31% from the field, 24% from 3. That is absolutely suffocating from a defensive standpoint, and you hold Denver under 90.
Denver shot 9%. 9% in the first quarter.
Unbelievable, man.
It's hard to imagine they were even in this game.
Yes.
But OKC has won games in this series by scoring 149 and now 92. Coaches and players, veteran players, guys who've been through championship runs will talk about this all the time. The ability to win different types of games. So maybe this was part of the learning curve for the Thunder.
Well, that's why you love the Thunder. They can win the game. We've seen them put up 149 in the series. So they can win the game scoring 150.
Yes.
But then guess what? If you want us to go deep into the mud and mud wrestle with you, we can win a game in the 90s as well. And that's why so many people have OKC favored to come out of the Western Conference. It's because of the combination of offense and defense. If it comes down to hitting threes, we can play that game. Getting out in transition, we can play that game. But if it comes down to getting stops, we can play that game too. And the stops were why they won tonight or this afternoon.
And Matt, what I would add to that is that throughout the season, when all the injuries were going through, they played small ball and they played defense and got stops and beat quality teams on the road, the top right teams, in the lower teams, not letting those bad losses come that we see at the end of the NBA season. Then everyone gets healthy, they can play big ball. So to watch how the other Jay Will can play with Hartenstein or Chet, Or then the other way around, it's like fun basketball. They're not shooting the three well, let's just lock down and get the stop so we then we'll get a few layups and get to the free throw line. That's just fun basketball to watch when you can figure out different ways to win.
And the options for Mark Daigneault as a head coach are so much more varied than they are for interim head coach David Adelman, who clearly doesn't have a lot of confidence in his bench. You saw Julian Strawther out there today, but series is tied up at 2. Here is Coach Adelman.
Coach, what do you attribute the poor shooting overall? And also, you guys have made a legacy on being able to finish, and weren't able to finish today. What do you think contributed just to being such a bad first and fourth quarter shooting?
I thought a lot of tired legs out there from both teams. I really thought the difference in the game is their bench kind of lit a fuse for them. Like they made threes, when we zoned up. Pretty incredible in a game where the two teams shoot 21 of 86 from three. So I thought you could see, right at the start of the game, you could see both teams, just the legs were not there. The finishing around the basket is their length. We can't go 10 for 25 near the rim. You have to finish those baskets. It's so hard to get there. And it's funny, this game was so similar on both ends. You look at them, only 30 in the paint, 15 to 30. So I just really thought the difference was those guys, give them credit, Caruso, Wiggins, and Wallace. Those shots were the difference. We got up 8 through pure effort and energy, not necessarily playing well. And those guys made a huge impact. And then I thought when we went back to the man-to-man stuff, Shea's tough in the pick and rolls, but we did a decent job on him, but we did not execute offensively. You can't take a 5-second call. There was multiple things that happened there at the end where the game just slowly got away from us. So a lot to learn from. 3-game series now, going down to a building that we know it's tough to play there. We found a way to win down there before. So we'll regroup tomorrow, watch the film, get better for Game 5.
David, you mentioned the energy and the effort in the third quarter, started the fourth growing it to 8. Why wasn't that able to be sustained in the fourth quarter and down the end?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you can't make a shot, at some point it's going to affect you. I could not believe the guys throughout the first half, when nothing's going good for you offensively, how it never affected the energy on the other end. And when you do that, you stay in the game. And I'm sure that wasn't the most fun game to watch in the first half at all, but we were just trying to stay in the game, and we did. And then to make that run in the third quarter with defensive energy and collapsing and just flying around, winning the defensive rebound, the 50-50, it gave us a chance, and we saw a couple shots go in finally. I think it loosened up the guys a little bit offensively during that stanza. But all the stuff we talk about, it's tough. I'm putting them in a zone. I mean, they had 15 offensive rebounds. We got to do our best to keep them off the glass, but I was really proud of the effort. We just didn't play well enough to win.
Coach, then do you think this is simply the result of this game is because of poor scheduling by the NBA?
No, I'm not going to say that. I don't want to say that. I will say that I think both teams were very tired coming off an unbelievably physical overtime battle on a late Friday night. So if it affected us, it surely affected them as well. I mean, both of us had super tired legs. So it was about who's going to make that final run. And when we got up 8, I thought we were making the push. And to their credit, they were the ones to make the final run. And we made mistakes late. You can call them mental mistakes, physical, whatever it was. We didn't play well enough the last 6 minutes to win a playoff game.
David, I think back to the beginning of the game, a couple of the shots that you guys missed that set the tone for it were pretty good looks. How do you kind of evaluate the overall shot quality throughout the day on those threes that you were getting?
Right. I mean, you can't speak out of both sides of your mouth, right? I mean, if we're creating wide open corner threes, those are good shots. If I'm telling guys to drive back into Chet, I don't think that's the best answer. So if we execute, there was one play in particular I thought really summed it up. I mean, we ran a split game, a high split game, got a really good cut on the rim by, I believe it was Aaron. Michael was in the corner. He shoots a 3 right in front of our bench. That's a great shot. And I think that's what we have to rely on. But the difference is you can't get impatient with the missed shots because then you're playing too much isolation basketball, too much only pick and roll, and that wears down your best players. So we've got to maintain staying in the elbows, a split game, and living with the really good shots behind that through ball movement. And that will sustain your energy late in games as opposed to, I thought tonight, we got worn down a little bit in the fourth quarter.
Coach, Nikola almost seems as locked in on some of the fouls, the back and forth kind of between these two teams and just whether he's getting it, whether he's not getting it. How do you keep him locked in on just making sure to get the ball in the basket?
Right. I mean, I know there's frustration there. When he's in drop coverage and somebody drives him and they make contact and that's a call. And here's a center that's obviously a bigger man feeling like the same contact is occurring in the paint. But Nicole will figure that out. He watched the film just like we do as coaching staff. We'll talk about finishing around the rim, playing through the contact. Like I said, 10 for 25 is not going to cut it around the basket because you have to complement the three-point line with some paint points. And, only 7 fast break points for us, 1 for 4 in those opportunities. Not sure how we get to 7 with 1. But we just feel like everything we did tonight was just not efficient enough. Second chance, we're 3 for 11 in those situations. Like everything that we did with effort, we just didn't get the result behind it.
What was your view on what happened on the 5-second call? Mental fatigue, physical fatigue, element of surprise? What was it?
No, it wasn't. I mean, we knew Caruso was going to pick up. I don't know if Mike wasn't attentive to the play. He was the next man that was supposed to flash. I didn't want Aaron down there. Aaron was part of the ATO, and it's one of those things when you take the ball out of bounds, you don't want somebody to have to take the ball out, run to a spot, be part of the execution. So we just got to be more aware, and we've had press break all year long. We haven't had issues with that, but you're so right. You can't have a mental mistake like that with 4.5 to go, and I'll take the hit. If I come out and have a timeout, maybe I have to set up a press break alignment first to get into into our execution on the other end because that cannot happen. That's inexcusable, and people could say it's a tired mistake. That's not. That's an execution mistake, and that's on me. It's something I have to clean up, obviously, when the off day tomorrow.
The zone was strong, super strong in the first half, and then they hit some threes in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
How do you kind of evaluate that? Are those just kind of the type of shots that scheme is going to give up, or are there things you guys need to clean up with that, especially at the end of games?
Yeah, they made above the break threes too. And these are shots that you don't necessarily want to give up, but you don't want to give up corner threes to get in a zone. So we had the desired effect. I thought as the game went on, the contests were later and later, and that's an energy thing, obviously. They changed their alignment on the backside, which was effective. So we can watch the tape and be better at that. But just the activity to go contest these guys. And I'm going to say it again, these games are so tight, so physical. It's small things that matter. And again, I give their bench a ton of credit. 8 threes made in a game like that. 8 of their 10 threes are guys off their bench. So, yeah, we took away the paint like we wanted to. We showed Shea and Jalen a lot of looks. I thought we did a pretty good job on those guys. But you give their team credit in a really disgusting basketball game. Those guys made plays and enough plays, to push them over the edge to win the game.
Coach, because you don't get this experience during the regular season, that 36-hour window, did you do anything to kind of make sure the guys were as rested as possible? And what do you do going forward with only a day off?
Yeah, the good thing is at least this next game, we have all tonight, all tomorrow, and then, Game 5 is another late night Central Time game, so we'll probably tip at 8:50. So at least this one is legit rest. It was almost impossible, this situation. You just don't do anything. You stay off your feet. It's all mental reps. The only time we had them on their feet was a very general walkthrough on the court of a possible adjustment. We ran a different kind of zone to start the game, a few things offensively, to get better at, and then you're just off your feet. It's really your only choice. You send them film at night that they can watch while they're just hanging out at their house. But yeah, it's a challenge, but like I said, same challenge for them. I'm sure they hung out at their hotel, stayed off their feet as best they could, knowing that their early start was going to be a challenge. So give them credit, man. That was a mentally tough win. We all were dealing with the same situation, and they came out on top.
David, you've touched on it a couple of times, but their bench outscoring you guys. So much has been made about how deep this roster